So our next speaker is a familiar face to many people. We have Paddy Buggy representing the Laois Hubs Collective. When I joined the chamber here about 18 months ago, there was a couple of hubs open. I'm not going to mention them all in case I leave one out. I'll let Paddy do that. So they came together to really work as a collective to, you know, get the word out that Laois is the centre of Ireland for business. This is where, you know, remote working is at its best. And we're really lucky to have such a great array of high class, up to date, really nice environments in our remote working hubs. You're very welcome, Paddy. Thanks for taking the time today to join us.
Thank you, Bernie. I appreciate the invitation.
Great. I'll let you start.
I have a hard act to follow there now, I'll have to say. But anyway, we'll do our best and try and keep it in the 10 minutes also. I just want to check the technology here that I can share the presentation with you now. Can you see that?
Yes, yeah, we can, Paddy.
Okay. Listen, to keep in the 10 minutes, I'll get going. So the Laois Hub Collective is a gathering of both community and private hubs who provide a variety of services and facilities. Each hub has its own personality, obviously, with different layouts catering for different industry segments. We all share the same goal to assist people succeed in their chosen field, and I have to stress this, a safe and collaborative environment. We all work with the state and local agencies, and we're very grateful to the agencies who have come on board and supported us so well over the last couple of years, and who continue to work with us in providing services to our clients. And we're all determined to make Laois the county of innovation. And I suppose the best one to start with here in that case then is actually, if we start with Eamon O'Callaghan's Junction 17 facility and Vision 85. Eamon manages and runs these two facilities. And Eamon is passionate about developing Laois as the leading digital county. And that's through use of artificial intelligence, through tapping into that young, vibrant generation we have here in Laois, and tapping into the facilities and infrastructure which we have, both digital and physical, here in the county. He also, in his facilities, he provides office pods from 1 to 4 people. They're all fully acoustic and soundproof. And because so many industries and businesses are now going online, Eamon has tapped into a segment of the market which will be of great support to many businesses in the county, and he's produced a podcast studio. And this is where people can actually develop their online advertising and presentations in a professional manner. And it's a local infrastructure which we don't have any in the county, to the best of my knowledge. And so that's going to be a huge service for the different industries here in the county. When going through the different hubs, I'm going to just focus on maybe something special or different that stands out, because we all have the same basic infrastructure in that we provide brilliant broadband, brilliant facilities for people to locate with us. But I just wanted to highlight some of the other facilities that you can have as well. If we move on to Brand Central Hub in Rathdowney, that's probably one of the newer ones, and that's run by Bernie Maloney. And this is the former Brand Central outlet, which most of you will remember you went over to buy clothes or something in when it started many years ago. It has about 450 parking spaces, about 60,000 square feet of space. Phase 1 development is due to finish now in April, and that'll end up with more office space, conference facilities, training facilities, co-working space, and remote access to third-level education. What's kind of unique about Brand Central Hub is that because of the sheer size of it and the infrastructure that is there, it can house a multitude of different industries, but also it has the possibility of having living accommodation on the one campus also. Part of what we've seen here in the county is that accommodation issues are starting to come up because it's hard to rent somewhere or buy somewhere at the moment in the county. So to attract new businesses in, being able to provide both a living accommodation as well as business accommodation is going to be a key factor moving forward. And Brand Central Hub in Rathdowney has the capacity to do both of those. Portarlington Enterprise Centre, well, God, Mary Keogh and the team here have had a long history of being innovative and bring in new solutions and to provide a good infrastructure for people to start off businesses, whether that is in physical industrial units, whether it's the digital hub, whether it's the Fab Lab and that 3D development. She has been at the core of trying to bring new innovation here in the county. And their latest offering is the virtual office. Nowadays, with so many people working remotely, and they need the office experience still, in the sense that sometimes it's to go into an office so you can talk to people, you can interact with people, but also you need the basic things like, I need to photocopy something, I need to get something printed off because I ran out of ink at home and it's not the same. If you're starting off a business, you need a business address. You have a postal service so that business post can come to this location and then gets sent to you at home or delivered to you. It's also a place for holding meetings and for carrying out training and teleconferencing facilities, and providing on-site services, as I said, like printing and photocopying, but also, providing administrative services such as a receptionist or secretarial support. As we all know, when you're starting out, you like to give the illusion that you're actually bigger than you actually are. And the virtual office, which Mary is providing in Port Arlington, is the ideal way of doing this, because you've got a professional team behind you, presenting a professional image of you and your company, and that's what the virtual office is about. They also have physical offices, of course, also for people if they want to have a combination of working in the hub itself or working from home and using the facilities of the hub. Bloom HQ in Mountrath. Regina Dunn is doing great work out there with her team. This is both a community and enterprise hub, and they have everything from small industrial units to office space to hot desking, meeting rooms. And meetings has been a kind of a niche area that they've developed and have become very good and proficient at. They also look after your body and your mind with their gym and other facilities there. And they have small industrial units then for small startups. But one of the newest things that they're launching is their conference center. And this is a fabulous facility. It's a 120-seater capacity with the full audio-visual equipment. And that'll be great for product launches, meetings, training sessions, and major events here in the county. So it gives people a choice. It gives the smaller guys starting off, and even the bigger companies, that they can come to a state-of-the-art facility here in the county and have all of these facilities available to them. Portlaoise Enterprise Centre. It's tried and tested. It has been there for years and it's doing great work. And under Patricia Frayne, they're providing a hot desk, co-working space, offices, meeting facilities, training facilities, industrial units. And I suppose through Patricia and the other agencies, they supply enterprise support to companies starting off and companies that are in existence for a while. We all need support, and you get great support through Patricia and the team. And also, as I said earlier, we do work with other agencies, be that Laois LOETB, Enterprise Ireland, IDA, Laois County Council, Laois Leo here, and we get great support in the different hubs from all those agencies. And Patricia is able to fine-tune that to the person that they need. I suppose one of the quotes from one of her customers was, she provides ready-to-go solutions, and that's important. And that message needs to go out, that we're not all about just space, it's about what we add as well to the mix. And then we move on to something I'm kind of close to myself, the web mill here in Mount Mellick. This is part of the Mount Mellick Development Association. It's one of the enterprises we have here. It's we've obviously got industrial units, warehousing, office space. We even have a museum for people who like to look after heritage and history. But we also have this new web mill, which is a co-working space for up to 44 people. We've obviously the meeting rooms. We're lucky enough to have an on-campus restaurant and creche as part of the former developments we've had here. We've also got commercial kitchens for the food entrepreneurs, and we're lucky at the moment in that we have a few new startups here in Laois on it. We've a brand new company called Temptation Patisserie, who focuses on chocolate products, and I have to say I highly recommend them. We also have Sweet Bakery, which is an expanding business. They have a bakery in Portlaoise. We have Michael of the Jungle Food here as well. And we're also after coming across and have starting up here Virginia Health Food Products, which are going to manufacture one of their product lines here in Mount Mellick, and we're grateful and delighted and grateful to have them coming to us. What we try to do here is work with the agencies and third level institutions to, I suppose, help and mentor startups, and particularly high potential startups. And what we're trying to do is create a community of collaboration where people can work with each other, support one another, provide services, and the like. Sorry, just 1 second. Everything goes wrong when you least expect it. Sorry about that, folks. I'm living in the real world here, so I have to apologize. So what we're trying to do then is here as the Hub Collective, as you see, we all provide very good infrastructure, but we also have our own little quirks and our own little add-ons which we can provide for people. And it's not necessarily people who are actually based in our hubs, it's anyone in the county who has businesses who want to tap into the different things and offerings which we can provide here in the Hub Collective. So with that, Bernie, I'm going to stop. I hope I haven't gone over the time. And if I have, I apologize. And again, I'll be available for any questions later on.
That's great, Paddy. We allow for that. The phone rang, so you had to. Yes. It's actually great to hear a landline ringing, and that means you're busy. So maybe someone watching today has picked up the phone and you've got your another new tenant. So thanks very much, Paddy, for that. It was a great oversight, a whistle-stop tour of all of the amazing hubs in the county, and I try to hold my networking events in those hubs, and we've done some before and we'll continue to do so. So thank you very much for that, Paddy. Our next speaker is new to Laois, and I'd like to formally welcome to the county. He took up this role during COVID restrictions, and not an easy feat. You're very welcome, Niall. Niall is the new Cube Director of the Cube. So the Cube is Ireland's first national centre of excellence for low carbon, and it's based in Portlaoise, and it's a really exciting time for the county and for the town, and really looking forward to working with Niall in the future. So I'll hand it over to yourself, Niall.
Thanks very much, Bernie, and thanks everyone for having me on today. I'm excited to see all the progress that's been made in the region. It seems to be very exciting work going on, and congratulations to the speakers before me for excellent presentations. Actually really nicely set up for some of the things I'm going to talk about during the course of our presentation as well. Some of the stuff that Gas Networks Ireland spoke about in terms of anaerobic digestion. There was a great background in some projects we're going to be looking at later on this year in that space. And also Miguel gave some very interesting insights into the sprint format and some of the activity that we're going to be running in that sense too. So just congratulations to everyone on an excellent event and excellent speakers so far. I've limited amount of time to present today, a little bit less than everyone else, so I'll try and keep to the 10 to 15 minutes as much as possible. So in that vein, I'm just going to start the presentation now. If everyone can let me know if they can see it.
Yeah, we can see that now.
See it okay, yeah?
Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so look, for those of you that don't know about the Cube, as Bernie mentioned, we're quite a new organisation, only been up and running really 5 or 6 months at this stage. The remit of the Cube is to generate economic activity for the County of Laois and the Midlands region through renewable energies and low carbon activity. So our mission at the Cube is to be a Midlands-based national centre of excellence focused on facilitating economic growth, innovation and education in the low carbon renewables industry. So look, there's no secret, I suppose, to the potential in this market. You know, globally, just a couple of statistics there, and we won't go into too much detail again. I have time constraints, but globally by 2030, there's a $27 trillion industry expected for sustainability. So if you can narrow down that focus to Ireland on a national level, but also to the Midlands, you can see the potential that's there. And also in terms of that national agenda, €1 out of every €5 spent in the national development plan would be on sustainability. So I think that just highlights the potential that this area can bring to any region, not just the Midlands. So how is the Cube going to develop out this activity, right? We're going to work across 3 different areas. So Obviously, you've got business and corporates, the likes of multinationals, SMEs in the region, potentially FDIs based in the region or with the potential to come in. And then linking that into two other areas too. So we've got research and third level institutions. So the likes of the TSSG, which Miguel was explained so well in the previous presentation, research institutions that are actively involved in sustainability and renewable energies, working with them through licensing, knowledge transfer, commercialization of research. Again, Miguel would have touched on that. And then linking that back into community. So how are we going to create this regional parity? How are we going to create the economic growth and opportunity, but at the same time maintain a very high quality of life in the region and in the transition to net zero? And the cube sits right here at the middle then, in between these three areas at the intersection, bringing them together and really collaborating, which I think is the core remit of this event today. So what's our areas of focus? We're agnostic really in terms of the areas we can look at or work within. Everything from waste and circular economy, so the manufacturing industry, circularity activity within that, agricultural industry, which Evelyn previously mentioned in her presentation. There's huge emissions in that industry, so it's an area that has to be tackled and has been outlined by the government, and we certainly have a focus on it. Electricity as well, so renewable energies from wind energies through to bio activity, solar, whatever the case may be. And transport as well. So, EVs, vehicles, EV chargers, and that kind of activity. So we have a 6-pronged approach, essentially 6 strategic areas of focus for the centre. And the first is human capital. So we want to make sure that the skill set in the region and the talent pool available in the region is transformed and available to take advantage of the greener collar industry that's coming down the line in terms of that national agenda that's been pushed. And in terms of the European agenda as well, which is filtering into Ireland, there's going to be a lot of opportunity over the next couple of years in terms of sustainability and low carbon. We want to make sure that the Midlands and Laois is well positioned to take advantage of that. So innovation obviously is going to be hugely important in that space as well. Working with HPSU development, again, Miguel would have touched on a lot of this, and large scale adoption of low carbon technologies into industry throughout the Midlands industry. So whether that's SMEs, startup businesses, or even the larger organizations, making sure that we're facilitating the adoption of innovation into those businesses. So communities then as well is going to be very important, creating community buy-in across the region. So, making sure that the community is aware of the potential of sustainability, not just in terms of, economically, but also in terms of the quality of life, and making sure that they're aware of the purpose of the projects that are being developed out and how that's all going to lead to a more prosperous region in the future. And then developing projects within that as well. So prosumer activity to see if they can get financial benefit potentially from some projects that are going ahead as well. Funding and finance is going to be a very important part of it. And again, there's a section later on which is be very relevant to this. But provision of support and the confidential fundraising of projects. So you can do that through a number of areas, whether that's debt or equity, depending on the size of the project that you're looking to build out. But we would have access into a network across the full remit there, from very early stage investment through to mid-level seed investment rounds, right up to high-level liquidity projects that need to be invested by banks, etc. So we can link people into those networks. Services to Midland industry. So again, similar to what Miguel was speaking about in terms of what TSSG offer, access to a network of facilities, research and thought leaders. So test before invest facilities, so that if there is a project that needs to be developed out or a concept that's gotten to a more advanced stage that needs to be potentially commercialized, bringing it to one of our research partners to create that testing process that allows it to go to the investment market or potentially directly to customers. And foreign direct investment, then finally, is a very important part of the future of the Cube and obviously the Midlands and Laois. So we want to support, facilitate and attract FDI into the region in terms of low carbon and renewable markets. That can be directly organizations working in those spaces, working renewable energy development, or it could be an aligned market product or organization that are looking to build out a division or a project based around sustainability. So why the Midlands then? Why is the Midlands so appropriate, I suppose, for this kind of activity? Well, there's a number of competitive advantages in the Midlands. There's a rich tradition in energy, obviously, through the likes of Bord and Mona. I think there's been 4,000 jobs was the latest figures that came out in terms of direct and indirect employment from Bord and Mona. And this transition that they're having from brown to green is obviously going to create huge opportunity in terms of sustainability, in terms of decarbonisation, and we think that's a real competitive advantage for Laois and the Midlands. Onshore renewable energy abundance, there's a vast amount of onshore wind production, particularly in the Midlands, more so than any other region, and this is a huge competitive advantage for the region and for Laois that can be leveraged and should be leveraged, and I think it's something that you're going to see a lot of opportunity coming up in the next 10 to 15 years. Built environment potential. So again, it was touched on earlier, the low carbon town initiative. So Port Laois town itself has been selected to be the one of the primary test sites for the low carbon town initiative. So that's going to link very nicely into activity that's going to happen around retrofit, which is a major national agenda. But also there's some activity with Laois Offaly Enterprise Tenancy Board, for example, who have recently been selected as a centre of excellence in that space. Linking that to robotics and smart grids as well, which is you know, a very active space. So also in terms of lands, the development of land partners is really important, and it's a competitive advantage, especially around the selection of FDI. So the Midlands, unlike many other regions, has large tracts of unabated land which are ripe for development, and there's development partners there in place to develop our projects on that land, and that's a huge competitive advantage for the region. Again, it's something that can be leveraged, and the affordability of this land as well is very, very important. So in terms of Laois, and I suppose specifically to Laois, the county of Laois, you know, how do we bring back some of this economic activity into the county? So we're all familiar with the statistics come out, and they're different in every day, but the one that stuck out to me, I think, over my research in the last couple of years is 10,000 people leave the county of Laois every day to work elsewhere. So how can we create an ecosystem? How can we create the potential to pull these people back into the region and develop out the economic opportunity for those people? So very much in line with the theme of the day, collaboration is the way to do that. So, you know, there needs to be a collaboration across those three areas: research, community, and business. They all need to come together to sing off the same hymn sheet and understand, look, this is where the potential lies. This is the activity that needs to happen, and how are we going to merge all this activity to create the prosperity that's needed. And look, that's very much evident in all the various different government documents that you'll see. And the Climate Action Plan, I think, really outlines this is more so than any other literature that's out there. And there's one line specifically in that which I think really sums it all up, and that is: the prospects of our children will be shaped by our success. Societies who delay the transition needed will face higher costs and fewer opportunities. So I think that sums it up really, just to understand that these projects need to be developed out now. Sustainability initiatives and innovation needs to be created in the region and get large across stakeholder buy-in in order to generate prosperity going forward. So partnerships then, in line with partnerships, this is just a sample of some of our partners that we have in place. Obviously we've a limited amount of time today, so I can't put them all up, but just to give you an idea, at the far right there, you can see our investment partners. So I spoke a bit earlier about the potential to link in a very early stage investment level up to higher level liquidity offers. So the likes of Enterprise Ireland, who are obviously a funding partner of ours, have funded our own centre, would be able to link in people potentially into early stage investments through them, up to the HBAN Angel Network, which would be again for early stage projects, early stage investments. Linking that through then to the likes of the venture capital funds. So DBIC Ventures would be somebody that we can partner with going forward, particularly around data products like Miguel would have mentioned earlier. And then linking that into what's underneath there, BVP and Baker Tilly, who would be the EIS investors. So again, if you're looking to develop out a project that you want to get tax reductions back on, or potentially get EIS tax breaks on, those kind of partners, those kind of venture capital firms we can link you into. And then finally, Bank of Ireland, who will be a liquidity partner. So for high level projects that require high levels of capital behind them, we can work directly with the Bank of Ireland Renewable Energies team. Owen Hartigan, who's the head who heads that up, is committed to putting forward funding for the centre for projects that warrant it.
That's great. That's great. Now, sorry to stop you there. That's been such a whistle, and I apologise that your time was limited.
No problem.
No, and we're really looking forward to hearing more from you over the coming months, and I'm working with you and doing what we can to deliver that project in Laois. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
So moving on to our next event partner, we're very grateful for their support today, the LOETB. So we're joined today by Jolene Hall, and I know Jolene is using some businesses to give us testimonials of what they can do for businesses. And I think it's a great way to demonstrate what you can deliver for businesses in the region. You're very welcome, Jolene.
Thanks, Bernie, and thanks very much for the opportunity today. We're delighted to be involved in this event, and just congratulations to yourself in hosting it virtually. So I suppose just to touch base on some of the things that Niall mentioned there, in terms of Bord na Móna, we will be heavily involved in the upskilling and reskilling of Bord na Móna employees in their transition from brown to green. And just on something else Paddy mentioned, also we would be currently working with employees in the Laois and Offaly and surrounding areas in terms of upskilling them and reskilling them in the whole area of remote working, so that they can work and live within their own local communities. So it's great to have those, I suppose, connections there. But just to give you an overview of Laois and Offaly Education and Training Board and what we do, if people are not familiar. So we are state funded to provide education and training programs across the Laois and Offaly area. We offer both part-time and full-time programs from non-accredited up to and including QQI level 6. We have 12 further education and training centres across Laois and Offaly, and within Laois they're based in Portarlington, Mountmellick, Portlaoise and Abbeyleix. Alongside that, we also have 2 specialised centres, the National Construction and Training Centre in Mount Lucas, which Niall mentioned, has now been named the Centre of Excellence for the retrofitting and NZEB training, which we are currently rolling out at the moment with Bord na Móna employees and people who are looking to upskill or reskill. And we also have the Midland Skills Centre, which is based in Tullamore, which hosts phase 2 of the electrical apprenticeship. It also has a state-of-the-art clean room training facility, which is for the medtech and the biopharma sector. So this morning, we're just, as Bernie mentioned, we're going to do something a little bit different. We have an enterprise engagement team within Laois and Offaly Education and Training Board. And what we're going to do this morning is we have invited some of the employers who have availed of training through Laois and Offaly LOETB, and they're going to provide testimonials and basically their experience of the training that they have availed of. So this morning I'm just going to introduce you initially to Sandra Doyle. Sandra is our Senior Training Advisor. She looks after apprenticeship, and Sandra is going to be joined with Gary Kelly, who is the HR Manager in Grant Engineering in Birr. And Sandra's going to give you a brief introduction to the apprenticeship service, and Gary's going to share his experience. Thank you, Sandra.
Thanks, Jolene. Good morning, everybody. My name is Sandra Doyle, and I work as a Senior Training Advisor in Apprenticeship Services. And our role in Apprenticeship Services is to support apprentices and employers in the Laois and Offaly region. And effectively, that means assist employers to gain approval, and from apprentice being registered right through to an apprentice being certified. So in the Laois and Offaly region, we currently have just under 500 live apprentices and 250 approved employers. And we also, as Jolene mentioned, we have apprentices work at phase 2. They're on college phase 2 in the Midland Skills Centre and in the METAC Training Centre in Mount Rath, and there's 56 apprentices attending classes there, and they're working remotely, obviously due to the COVID restrictions. In 2020, we registered 114 new apprentices over a range of 20 different trades. Our busiest trades in the craft side are the electrical, carpentry and joinery and plumbing. And we registered apprentices in the newer trades in auctioneering, sales, retail sales, industrial electric and engineering at level 7, and also insurance practice at level 9. So apprenticeships are currently offered from level 5 right up to level 8, and will go to level 10 at PhD level. So there's 59 apprenticeships available under the National Apprenticeship Programme, and I'd advise anybody just to have a look at the website. It's www.apprenticeship.ie, and it gives a full overview of all of the apprenticeships that are available to people today. And these include 27 craft trades, but we also have 32 new apprenticeships, and some of which I've mentioned. So they range to apprenticeships in the finance, hospitality, the ICT, and engineering sector. So lots of new apprenticeships available to young people. We have a new apprenticeship that was recently validated in scaffolding. That's at level 5. It's over 2 years. The off-the-job training for that apprenticeship will take place in Mount Lucas, the National Construction Training Centre, which comes under the LOETB remit, and they're based in Dangan. And the apprenticeship model, if you're familiar with it, it's the earn and learn model, which means that apprentices work on the job and they also attend college. So they can attend college under the craft trades in an ETB training centre, IT college or technological university. And then with all the new trades, we're looking at links with IT Sligo, other IT colleges, universities, because there's a range of apprenticeships and these are the different awarding bodies and the lead consortia. There are 2 incentivization schemes currently available to employers. There's the employer apprenticeship incentivization scheme for any employer who recruits a new apprentice, and that's €3,000 and it's paid out in 2 installments. And that is available now and currently available up till the end of June 2021. There's also a female bursary, which is an incentive for employers to take on females in the craft trades. So if an employer recruits a new apprentice in the craft trade, they're entitled to a bursary. It's €2,667 and that's paid out in 2 installments. So there's huge benefits to hiring or taking on an apprentice. And I'm going to pass you over to Gary Kelly, HR Manager and Grant Engineering. And Gary's going to give you an insight into how the apprenticeship programme has complemented their business needs. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Sandra. Good morning, everybody. So let me give you a brief overview first of Grant Engineering. So we manufacture home heating products. So most commonly people will know us for our condensing oil boiler. It's our most common product on the market. We have just over 300 staff here on site in Burr. So we're the largest employer in South Offaly. And the company has been here just over 40 years. So that's just a little bit about us. About 12 years ago, I suppose to keep up with our competitors, to try and stay ahead of the market, we began a very aggressive automation program, which started with robotic welding, has rolled out to automated cutting and bending, to automated final assembly lines over the years. And what we found during that program was that we got it very hard to attract the skills that we required in our maintenance team in particular, in order to service all those machines and to make sure that we were buying the latest technology and that we were keeping them up to spec. And I suppose that's what attracted us to the apprenticeship program. And we took on an apprentice electrician about 4 years ago, which is our first time to venture into the apprenticeship program. And the beauty of it is that that person has come in and grown with the business and really understands, I suppose, everything we do, but started to understand our machines as they learned the business. And it's been a massive success. We now have somebody with us who's just recently fully qualified, who we wouldn't have been able to attract otherwise. We just simply wouldn't have been able to attract that talent. As you know, I suppose similar here in Offaly as in Laois, it is quite difficult to attract talent sometimes into the area, because when younger people are finishing apprenticeships or they are finishing 3rd level studies, the bright lights of Limerick or Galway or Cork or Dublin or wherever they have studied are much more attractive than a Tuesday night in Burr or Clonaslee or Mountmellick or wherever. So we've had to find that we've had to grow our own as such. So it's worked fantastically. So that's where we are probably on our first one. We're currently recruiting. We have recruited one and are currently recruiting a second plumbing apprentice. So that has come about really because of the change in our business, and there's good similarities actually with what Niall spoke about. Our business is changing from, obviously it's very fossil fuel dependent. We're burning oil to heat our homes. We supply the product. We're all doing it, or most of us are doing it. But obviously that's changing, and our business in the future will be much more obviously renewable energy sources. It'll be green, and our customers will want much more of a technical expertise. So if you have an oil boiler at home, you get it, you put it in, you get oil, and it stays going. And we'd love to glorify it more than that, but it's very simple. Whereas the products of the future are going to be much more advanced, technologically advanced, and our customers and architects and builders, etc., are going to be much more dependent on us for technical expertise. So we've taken on our first plumber, which are going to be, and Tom is his name. He's local to us. He's going to have a very different apprenticeship to, for the lack of a better description, if I can call it your kitchen sink plumber. He's already working on doing heat loss calculations, which is something that most plumbers might never see in their careers. He's already working on that. He's already getting some experience actually of sitting in on our technical advice lines. So he's listening to homeowners ringing our technical advice line and getting used to what they're saying, that the problems that people are facing. He's listening in on conversations with architects and seeing the kind of help that they want from us and what they require from our products. So he's getting that much more rounded. And for us, as our business changes, similar to the electrical side of things, we just would not be able to attract that talent. And we have tried, and I suppose we haven't succeeded. And this is going to be a much better path for us going forward. So it is, yeah, that's where we're going. We're delighted with it, and I must say, for anyone who maybe isn't yet involved and is thinking of getting involved in an apprenticeship program, absolutely go with it. There are other services actually, and if you speak with Jolene in particular, I know that we're doing some training through our R&D department as well. Again, for training that we can't get, or expertise that we can't get, we're partnering with the guys. So there's great services there. So yeah, look, that's a little bit about our experience in it. If anyone has any questions and I want to pop them in the chat, I'm going to be here for the next half hour, however long we've left, so feel free. I'll also pop my contact details in, so if you want to follow up with an email or a call or a text or whatever it is, absolutely feel free. We're more than happy to chat and try and help. So thanks very much, guys. Thank you.
Thanks very much there. I think Jolene might have dropped off the call there, so I'm going to invite Dara Cruz for the next testimonial there. Hi, Dara, good to see you.
Morning, Bernie. How are you? And good morning to everybody else on the call. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity. I am the General Manager of the Midlands Park Hotel, and we've worked alongside Jolene and the team in the LOETB for quite some time.
You can tell me who else to invite.
Initially, our training programs that we ran were relatively straightforward for our industry: train the trainer, supervisory development programs, and a customer care program. And towards the start of 2020, I approached Jolene with a request of looking at a lean business program. It is something we've done in the past, and I felt it's an area that our industry doesn't really pay a huge amount of credence to. The hospitality industry is very customer focused, and we don't tend to be focused around our processes and improving them. Jolene came on board, supported the program in its entirety. Initially, we had 8 people go on a yellow to green belt, and that was an incredibly successful program. Thus, we were able to put an additional 14 people on a white belt to yellow belt towards the end of the year. So in total, we've had 22 employees in the year of 2020 go through that lean business program. We worked with Andy Brophy in the hotel, and during the first phase of the training, we selected 3 areas of our business that we wanted to focus on. The first, payroll and productivity. The second was a carbon footprint and waste reduction. And the third was an accommodation project, which was quite specific to COVID times, where we analysed each aspect of our room and reduced the inventory within the room in light of COVID and in light of the safety concerns that were hovering over our industry. Each of those programs delivered in excess of 50,000 euros savings to our business, in an industry that's seen over 160,000 people lose their jobs. Every penny that you can see saved is really beneficial to us. So our experience in working with Lean was revolutionary. It really was, for an industry, as I say, that doesn't tend to focus an awful lot on its processes and practices. This gave us great learning. The benefits that we found was the morale amongst our team was greatly lifted, as there was people working across disciplines and working with other areas of the business to find solutions to problems that we had. The engagement from the people that participated in it was fantastic, so much so that when the course was finished, the 14 people that moved forward actually requested to go on the Lean program due to the positive camaraderie and what had been spoken about across the workforce. The Lean program was an internationally recognized course, so our teams now have a great skill that they can take beyond the four walls in Midlands Park and potentially use for the future. Obviously, we want to retain them, but it does give them great life skills. We've used so much of the tools that we learned in the Lean program in other areas of our business, as we've had to pivot and reshape and bring new products to our market. In each of the decisions we've taken, we've always tried to look at it from a Lean perspective. Some of you will be aware that we offer a collection service now through Kelly Steakhouse. So much of building that up was done with a view of Lean and how can we make this as efficient as possible to deliver the best possible experience for our customers and ensure that it's profitable. We've adopted the 5 S's of Lean to every aspect of what we do. It's helped us run a much more efficient business. And overall, I have to say, all of this has come about through working with Jolene and the team in the LOETB. We would have not been or not experienced the wonderful outcomes if it hadn't been for those initial conversations that we had with Jolene towards the end of 2019 and early 2020, looking for support. And it's a credit to the team there. We're very strong supporters of the work that's done in there, and anyone who has training needs, I would encourage you to reach out to Jolene and speak to her, and our experience has been fantastic. So it's a thumbs up from us in the Midlands Park Hotel.
Thanks a million, Dara. We appreciate that and appreciate you attending today. And just to say that in terms of the training that I provide, it's to support the development and growth of enterprises and employees through upskilling and reskilling. We do offer a wide range of programs that are part-time, flexible and delivered online in areas like construction, healthcare, hospitality, Lean management, as Dara mentioned, and management, and courses up to including level 5 are free of charge, and there's a minimum of 70% funding available for courses at level 6. So if anybody has any training needs that they wish to discuss, please feel free to contact us. Just moving along, my colleague Yvonne Foy is next. She's the Contract Training Officer in Laois and Offaly Education and Training Board, and she's going to be joined by Ronan Barry. He is the General Manager in Polar Ice. Thanks, Yvonne.
Thanks, Jolene. Thanks a million, Jolene. I know we're limited to time, sorry now, so I'll go as quickly as possible. And thanks a million to Ronan as well for joining us this morning. Really welcome. Thanks to everybody for the presentations. I just want to go through really quickly the services that another part, I suppose, of the services that we provide here in Laois LOETB. So we as well as enterprise engagement, or in conjunction with enterprise engagement, we also have a suite of programs for people who are job seeking, looking for a career change, that sort of thing. So don't want to be repeating what Jolene said. So any of the areas that she mentioned across several sectors, we have provision in. Obviously, we're blended, flexible approach, and we have been working really hard to be innovative in our provision. Our focus at the moment, and it's heartening to see from the speakers earlier that we must be on the right track if everyone's talking about the same thing. Our focus at the moment is to focus our training provision in the areas of future jobs, areas of growth such as digitalisation and green economy. And I know you've heard a lot from earlier speakers there this morning. Our programs are fully funded. Our contact details are in the background there. So if you want to give us a shout at any time, any of us are working in the area, so we'll be able to help you on that. Our focus is to ensure that the counties of Laois and Offaly have a skilled talent pool. And I know a couple of our earlier presenters alluded to that also. We have a large range, but just for purposes of example, I suppose, what we want to just give you a little intro today is our programs in remote working. So we have 2 programs in remote working. One of them is Remote Work Ready, and one of them is Leading Remote Teams. So kind of in parallel to show how we can work to train people who are looking to become employed in that area and people who are currently employed in that area. Ronan Berry from Polar Ice in Port Arlington has been, along with some of his colleagues, I'm delighted to say, has been a participant on some of those programs. And Ronan, I can hand the baton over to you for a minute if you want to give us a little insight into your experience on those.
Of course, delighted to, Yvonne. And I suppose just again to reiterate what Dara said, we use the LOETB quite a bit for training across all levels of the organisation. Polar Ice, we're Ireland's leading manufacturer of dry ice products, and it has been quite a busy year for us as a critical supplier to the likes of the pharmaceuticals, the logistics industries, food processors, etc. So I think, like a lot of companies too, we use the year to really focus on growth in the company. So the reaction that we all had last March to what was thrust upon us, okay, we all thought it was going to last for maybe 2 months, 3 months. We thankfully had the infrastructure in place and the cloud systems to actually go remote. But I guess what we were missing really was the skill set around it. And we signed a number of people up. 2 of us did the Leading Remote Teams course, which also had an agile project management piece to it, which was really useful. And 3 of our team members did the Remote Work Ready courses. I think what it did, the key learnings for us from that, I think really came around things like culture and like simple takeaways, like if one person on your team is working remotely, you then have to consider that the entire team is working remotely. And also from the point of view of communications, and I think cross-function communications. So communications within our senior management team, because we were now doing it all remotely and doing it all digitally. And also then communications between the various functions within the companies. Both courses came with a lead placeless certification as well for the participants, which again just gives you that kind of the theory and some really good case studies and examples around how companies are and maybe have been successfully working remotely for a number of years. So look, I think like a lot of you joined in today is probably something we probably never saw ourselves coming so far in such a short space of time, and undoubtedly their programs that the LOETB created, and they were done in conjunction with Grow Remote and the IDA. So, and what I noticed on the programs actually was there were participants from all across the country and not just from Laois Offaly and that. So it kind of goes to show you the scale of what's happening there. I would just like to add as well, we've used the LOETB and Andy Brophy. We've had 3 people trained up to lean green belt status, and a further 5 to yellow belt status, all through the LOETB. And we've also used them then for things like forklift training as well. So for across all functions of the company, it has been fantastic working with everybody at the LOETB. We look forward to continuing to do so. And I'm going to pass you back to Yvonne, but like Gary, I'll pop my contact details into the chat there, and anybody that would like to get in touch with anything, feel free to do so. Thank you. Over to you, Yvonne.
Thanks a million, Ronan. Thank you. And yes, sorry, thank you for picking me up on what I missed. I should have mentioned we developed that program in conjunction with Grow Remote, IDA and Solas, and it was an amazing opportunity for us to be involved in that. I know Paddy touched on the area and Bernie earlier about remote working, and it is a really growing area, one we're delighted to be involved in. What I also wanted to say is that we are absolutely open as an ETB and as an employer support and development team to bespoke training. So if there's something that we haven't mentioned, that we haven't touched on, that is of interest to you and that you would be interested in gaining training in, just please give us a shout. We're trying to get our message out there, trying to be more, trying to get everyone more aware of our brand, and we really want to make sure that we can do our bit to contribute to the sustainable development of the two counties. Delighted to be here this morning. Thanks so much to Bernie for the opportunity to talk. We've learned, I suppose, more recently through the pandemic experience and over our previous years that networking collaboration is amazing. Over some of the previous events that Bernie has organised and some other networks that we've got involved in. We've met all the participants here today, and hopefully we'll meet more of you as it goes on. So just to let you know that we're here, we're available, we're open to different ideas, and we're trying to be as innovative and as flexible as possible. So Jolene, will you just share the details again there? I think you probably have them behind me already. And if anyone has any other areas of interest and wants to talk to us later on, we will be here for the duration of the webinar, and we'll be available in those chat rooms. So thank you very much to everyone.
Thank you very much, Jolene, and to yourself, to Yvonne, sorry, and Jolene. And all the staff at LOETB for putting on a great presentation this morning. And I think the testimonials from business owners really get your message out there, and I hope people will make contact with you to find out more, and certainly join in the chat room after the event. Our next speaker, it's a recently formed partnership, just fresh this year in 2021 with the Carlow Kilkenny Skillnet. And when I came to the role, I was determined that we would link up with a Skillnet in the region to deliver and to offer courses to our members and the business community. And I was delighted to be introduced to Aisling Ward. Aisling is Head of Operations down in the Carlow Kilkenny Skillnet. You're very welcome to Laois, Aisling.
Excuse me, thanks Bernie, and hello to everyone this morning. Very much appreciate the opportunity to chat. I have a couple of slides that I'm going to share and go through, and then if there's any questions, I'll take them in the chat room later on. Okay, I hope you can see this. Sorry, now I'm looking to share it from the beginning, but it's not moving for me, apologies. So just to let you know a little bit about Skillnet. Skillnet Ireland is a business support agency running across the country, and the focus for us in our Skillnet will be around workforce learning across the different regions. And just to let you know, in terms of the remit, there's 70 different networks across the country. Some of them would be regional networks, some of them would be sectoral networks. The key focus looking at relevant, flexible and particularly affordable solutions to upskilling for owner managers and their staff. Also looking at how to maximise the investment in training, because we're all looking at the bottom line, particularly dealing with COVID last year and again into this year. The reach in terms of Skillnet across the country, as I said, 70 different networks with a 52 million investment per year. On average, we're training about 70,000 people throughout the country, and I think that's important, that spread nationally, that we can build on the experience of different businesses in different regions across Ireland. And you can see there, just from the little map, the spread, as I said, regionally. Just to give you a highlight of some of the different networks, as I said, in terms of regional, the nearest to you in Laois are the Carlow Kilkenny Skillnet, but our colleagues also in Waterford Chamber Skillnet, Tipperary, Wexford, also Cork, Limerick and Sligo. So you'll see that national spread. But also just to highlight some of the sectoral Skillnets, there's a technology-based Skillnet, healthcare Skillnet, medtech, organic and food and drink Skillnet, one in the financial services, one in the law space, and also in construction. So just to mention, in terms of the sectoral ones, anybody in those sectors, please reach out to your sectoral based Skillnets, because they have an opportunity to upskill you in particular areas that would be relevant to your sector, but also find out about the regional Skillnet that can help you as well. Networking would be a huge area that we would focus on, and I'd encourage you to reach out to us to see how we could help you with that as well. In relation to some of the programs I saw in the ETB as well around remote working, that would be very important for us. Employment law, particularly this year and last year, looking at HR and the impact of COVID-19. around training needs analysis and how to do a strategic training needs analysis in order to get value for the money that we would spend on training. And then management development would be hugely important for us as well. And we would have programs up to level 9 in leadership and management development. So how does it work? There's training network programs across the country. The Carlow Kilkenny Skillnet one would be the one nearest to Laois. And again, thanks to Bernie for allowing us to speak this morning. We run open courses that are available through our website, webinars, workshops, and they're all running on a daily basis through the Skillnet. We also run in-house and in-company training, all of which is funded through the Skillnet. And I very much welcome your involvement and participation on that, and would like to speak to you about anything that you're interested in doing. We would be a multi-sectoral Skillnet, so that means it's open to any company in any sector in relation to the training needs that you would have. We would have a wide variety of programs in terms of QQI certification, and also in terms of our engagement with our partners in IT Carlow. Fully flexible, all online at the moment, and for the full list of programs, they're on our website, and the link and the details are there through that link that I will send to Bernie. So really it's just to say hello this morning, get you to consider what's happening with our Skillnet and the different partners that we have. I think speed of turnaround is hugely important, and that's something that we would pride ourselves in the Skillnet, that whatever the training requirements are, that if you reach out to us, that we would like to think that we can turn it around very quickly and also apply the funding that we get through Skillnet Ireland and the Department of Education. Bernie, I think that's all from me, unless there's any questions, or I can take them later on in the chat room. But for now, I'm going to leave it at that.
That's great. Thanks very much, Aisling. And I did, to a number of our members, I did send out your brochure, and I know there was some engagement as a result of that. So really, if you have any questions on the Skillnet training and what's on offer, and if you have an idea for a particular course that you need for your business, either come back to me or straight to Aisling. Her details will be available after the event, and as Aisling said, she'll be in the chat room, and I'm really excited about this partnership moving forward. So moving on to our next speaker, we have Alan Boyle. Alan is the Head of Operations at the National Learning Network based in Portlaoise. I'm sure that's not his job title, but he will enlighten us if not. And it's great to be joined today by Alan to learn what happens in that centre and how they are engaging with the business community. You're very welcome this morning, Alan. Great.
There we go.
There you go. We can see you now. Great.
How are you getting on? Yeah, welcome. Yeah, look, at the moment, I'm not quite head of operations just yet. I don't know where that came out of. But centre manager for the National Learning Network in Portlaoise is what I'm doing. I suppose, I suppose what we do is we're a training and education service for people throughout the county of Laois. Primarily people who would have extra support needs, disabilities, mental health difficulties, things like that. And just look, that was a picture that we took earlier in the year when we had the bit of snow outside. So National Learning Network Portlaoise, what we do is we're part of the Rehab Group, which would be Ireland's largest supported training and education and employment progression organisation for people with additional support needs, disabilities. In the county of Laois, we operate out of the Dublin Road in Portlaoise, and we would work, I suppose, to support anyone that has a need who wants to come, let's say, from school leaver age right up until their 50s or 60s, anyone that has a need that they want to come back to do training, to do education, with the view to either progress into, let's say, the likes of an LOETB funded training course, or indeed to get employment in one of the many sectors in the county of Laois. We'd operate a number of different programs up here. So we're co-funded by the HSE and by the Laois Offaly Education Training Board. So our first two courses up here, which are Access and Choices, would be HSE funded programs for people with school leaver age or people that may have had a mental health difficulty at some point in their lives and just need a bit of support to get back on track. Our transition program, which is QQI level 3, is primarily aimed for people at school leaver age, who, for whatever reason, school wasn't suited. They may not have gotten supports. They may have had, let's say, been on the ASD, autism spectrum. They might have had some form of physical disability. They might have had some other intellectual disability. These would be people that school, I suppose, for whatever reason didn't work, but they want to get access to the education, have the college experience, get some training, get some work experience, and then move on to, ideally to progress on. But we do have a few people that would leave to do who would leave to go to employment. I suppose the two programs that I'm really trying to look at today, which are both our level 4 programs, are our employer-based training program and our Kickstart program. Both of these are level 4 major award programs funded by the LOETB, where their specific remit is around further training and education progression or progression to employment. So I'll just quickly fly through this, and look, after this I'll share the copy of the slides with anyone who's interested. So our Kickstart program, I suppose when I came here in 2017, we changed a couple of programs to be a lot more in line with the local labour market analysis for people, I suppose, and a lot more of the general jobs. And what came out of that was there's a huge demand for people in the hospitality catering industry. Look, I was glad to see someone from the Midlands Park Hotel on there. We'd have a lot around the office skills. General learning gives students an opportunity to explore a wide range of options. And then we'd have the retail sales techniques, which equips people to work kind of more on the retail side of the industry. These are 4 major award options that students can pick from to come here. So you're a student, you start here, you spend 6 months doing general skills, and then you'll branch off into one of the specific major awards with the view that you'll progress on to do further training and education, or if you feel that you want to leave to get employment, we have a course that supports that as well. What makes NLN different, I suppose, from other training services is we would have a lot of supports that would go into students. So we would do a lot of workplace resilience, career coaching, confidence building. There'd be a lot of transversal skills that we would engender to students for them to, I suppose, build up how, let's say, effective workplace communications, boundary management in the workplace, things like that. We would then have access to a psychologist and a counsellor on site if students have some, I suppose, difficulties that they need to work through, to ensure that when they do leave here, they're as well rounded and ready to get into the workforce as possible. Our employer-based training program then, which EBT, we shorten it down to. EBT is specifically a program around supporting people to gain employment, to keep the employment, and to build up their skills and work experience. So EBT, look, at the moment, we're obviously working remotely and with a blended learning capacity, but traditionally we would have done 2 days in the centre, doing some of the basic skills, personal development, work experience, career planning, and then 3 days would have been out in the community doing work experience. To date, NLN has had a good response from employers locally. We've had very good results even from the likes of McClure Printing, Fingleton White, Clement Ern's Real Estate. We've just placed a student of ours out on the centre on the Mount Mellick Road. Again, I suppose even in COVID times, we were still lucky enough to get a placement out there. That job, I suppose, the employer-based training program, which is something that I'm really looking at, is obviously looking at the Laois Chamber side of things and the wider business community, is something that I suppose a lot of employers don't necessarily look at a training service such as ours for employees, but I can't stress enough, I've been here nearly 4 years now, the value that students get when they get a work experience, they get a work placement, and then eventually get a job in a host company. It creates such a sense of belonging in the community. It allows the students to feel that they're giving back to the community, that they're achieving something. And look, take nothing for granted, as I always say, where students that come here, in many cases, they are part of the more marginalised sections of society with having disabilities. Generally, it's a fairly low uptake into employment. But getting into a job, getting that skills, that experience, it creates such a positive buzz for the students. And I mean, our employer-based training programme, whenever you do go down and talk to the students down there, ask about their experiences, get them to give feedback on work experiences. It's so positive. They're always so happy, so contented. So speaking about the work experiences, say, I did this, I was shown this skills, I had this mentor working with me. It's great to see. And I mean, our instructor, Patrice Dalton, who this video is actually an embedded video, which again, once I send out the share, people can watch it, where she speaks about the course itself. But she would do on-site support then, where she would physically go out and myself, if needed, would meet the employer, see if there's any skills that are missing. Simple things like we could do HACCP training, barista training, manual handling, safe pass training, things like that, that if an employer comes back and says would be a useful tool, we'll provide it. We have instructors here that are trained in barista training, HACCP training, manual handling, all that stuff. I suppose, look, this next slide just kind of quickly goes through why providing a placement and a job opportunity is very good. And as I said, look, many of our students will come here. This will be the first, in many cases, this could be the first time that they're coming out to get education or to get into the world of work. It's a completely, I suppose it's a new experience for some people, or indeed some people are coming back to the world of work having suffered an injury or an illness or something like that. And to get the opportunity to come back into maybe what is a different work experience or a different work placement would be very good. We actually have a lot of students that have come here over the last couple of years who may have had a workplace injury that can't go back into what their previous world of work was. So they're looking at something new. So you could have someone, let's say, that might have worked on building sites, and that's now not a viable option for them. So they're coming in to learn, let's say, specific IT skills or specific retail skills with the view that they can go and change their careers afterwards. We provide a lot of support for the employers when we meet them. So again, if there is any employers out here who say, look, something we could investigate, please feel free to contact me, because I can go through the full remit of what supports we'd offer. Like, we do have insurance for our students when they come out. The admin is managed by us. As I said, if there's any specific training needs that they need on the job, we'll provide that. We do have the instructor Patrice who'll come out to workplaces. I'll come out to workplaces as well to provide that support if there's any difficulties or anything. But the value that adds to, I suppose, two companies on the ground, I mean, any company we have had the fortunate experience to work with, they've always said that the students being on site have had a great work experience themselves, but it's also boosted a lot of the morale for the team, that they're finding being a mentor is useful. They're finding having a mentee is something great, that they're passing on skills, that they're training someone, that they're giving them the opportunity to get into the world of work. So look, these are just a couple of, I suppose, testimonials that we would have had from companies that we would have worked with in 2019 and 2020. We'd have a good few more from 2020 and indeed 21, which are on our website, and we have all social media. We Facebook, we have a YouTube channel for My Sins. We have all these stuff where we do go through testimonials. But just to say again, look, where we do work with companies, we'll always try and match the existing skills that a student has with a work placement. We'll always try, obviously, to get them to upskill and train, but at the same time, we always want to make sure that the student coming into the work experience has as much skills as they can to add value to the world, to the workplace. So just moving on. So again, I suppose, why students or why employers would choose NLN. And again, the video link down here is for one of our students, Kiva, who's kindly said that we can share out her experience of coming through NLN, what that's meant to her, and then going on into the world of work. So look, all of our courses are free for students to come to it. They're either funded through the HSE or through the LOETB. We don't have registration fees. In fact, we have a thing called continuous intake, which means that students can start when they're ready. Some students can't wait for a kind of a mass intake in the end of the year, like August. It mightn't suit their mental health state, but they can come to us whenever they want. We have smaller class sizes, so traditionally we have 10 to 12 students per classroom. Students can work at their own pace. If they're on social welfare, they can keep the entitlements that they may have. And we do provide recognised QQI qualifications, and we have access to the, as I said, to the psychology, counsellors, advocacy supports, everything like that. So again, look, just to quickly talk through, like, our certification is all done through the NFQ National Framework of Qualifications, funded by the LOETB and HSE. We offer students an eNLN platform as well, where they can get access to online support and all this kind of career goals, which gives them, I suppose, more skills that they would have. And at the moment, we're obviously, like everywhere else, heavily focused on the IT remote learning side of things, which has boosted a lot of the IT skills for students here and staff. So look, just, I suppose, a very quick snapshot of the types of people that would come to NLN. I suppose historically people would have always seen the rehab group as a disability service, but to be very honest, it's not just anyone with disabilities. There's a wide plethora of people that would come to us who would have support needs. I suppose that's specifically what we're set up to deal with and to support that. So just, again, some key contacts. Alan Boyle is my name. I'm the centre manager here. My mobile and our office phone number here. My email is there. Our liaison officer, Claire Pickard, is here, and again, our mobile number is there. So look, as I said, we have a full range of social media following. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We'll be even on RT Operation Transformation in the next couple of weeks for doing 5Ks as a centre. So look, if there's anything anyone needs, look, feel free to reach out, even if it's someone you know that might need a service like ours, or indeed if you're an employer looking to, I suppose, to take on someone on a work experience basis or a work placement basis, feel free to reach out and talk to me. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Alan, and apologies for your incorrect job title there. But centre manager, I suppose, could be seen as head of operations. But
I wear many hats.
Okay, well that's fair enough. Like myself. So really, that was a great insight, and I'd imagine that there's lots of business owners listening that mightn't have been aware. And really delighted to hear you mention a number of chamber members that you work with already, and I'm hoping that this speaking slot will inspire many more to engage with you following this event. And thanks very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, we're at our 11 o'clock break, and for those of you that joined us at our launch in the Heritage back in September 2019, we showed two amazing videos that showcased Laois for Business and Laois to Work. So you can sit back and enjoy those videos during the break and get your refreshments, and we'll see you back at 11:10 to hear the important piece on financial supports from Head of Enterprise at the Laois Leo, Evelyn Redden. Thank you.